come to Sheni v'Chamishi, this here is the stairs that people walk up and down for exercise. And then over here, we have the library, pop-up library. Okay, let's try to do this easy. Okay. So we're going to speak about what is Chachmas Chitzoni, what is secular, what is Chachmas Umas Ha'olam. Is science and the laws of physics, is that considered Chachmas Chitzoni? A lot of Yidden have contributed to science. So how can you consider it Umas Ha'olam? The argument is very misunderstood, and it goes all the way into the yeshiva system, where different types of Lithuanian yeshivas, if you know about the Torah world before the Shoah, before the war, there were it was a lot of destruction, a lot lost. There were debates about what constituted Bitul Torah and what is Torah, whether Musar is part of Torah. It's just character refinement, but you don't need character refinement if you're going to sit and learn Torah all day. One of the big Rosh Yeshivas of Panovich, Menachem Shach, was someone who was known to be studying, and he never removed his eyes from the Gemara, is what they say. So when people wanted to know about who he was, this camera is going to be shaking a lot, and I'm going to continue. I'm going to keep trying. So they said, what is... They spoke about him as someone who did not remove his eyes from the Gemara all his life. So you don't need character refinement and Musar and this Salanter morals in order to... if you have Torah all day, if you're not moving from the Sefer, because the Torah itself is supposed to have this magical power of refinement, as Chassidim would say, Chassidus macht edel. There's no evidence to that, but it's a saying that gets people, Chassidus macht edel and Chassidus is a refuah. My friend Yossi Horowitz said to me, Chassidus is a refuah. So I said to him, find out if that's true and stop repeating to me that lie. Of course, this was important because he needed to stop with that in order to start being part of reality and then being responsible. But that's another debate altogether. So, the book of Iyov, a book of suffering, why good people suffered, the book of Job, is not even from Jerusalem. It's a book that is, his camera is going to be a little problematic, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. Oh no, yeah, I know about this, but I wanted to do it anyway, because the mic was great. Okay. So the book of Iyov is a Moabite book. It comes from Moab. It's translated into Hebrew. The rabbis have contemplated or argued until the 5th century what books to include in the canon. As one young man asked me today, what is actually divine? Is it the Torah? And the answer is no. The Torah is not divine. There's nothing divine about it. Anybody in the Middle East could have written that book. It's about stories in the beginning, and then there's laws of priests, Kahanim, Vayikra, Teiras Kainim, very clear. It's a family that had power over the people, and they were using and foisting their power over people, just like history, muscle, military might, and money. This was just another form of power. Of course, it was gone after the destruction, and that's when Pharisaic and the rabbinic Yahadut Rabbanit started. The halacha, the Gemara, the poskim, the arguments, and many of those discussions were secular. Secular in nature. Tainus shel sheker, bitter. If the Torah is about being mevar of this world, then science is the greatest way to be mevar, because you can't manipulate nature without first understanding it. One young man told me that he's married, he has kids, but he's afraid of dogs. So I have this book for babies, but I saw this book in this library. It's called the Dog Owner's Manual. I have this for babies. I don't like the way this book is written. It talks about the baby like a mechanical thing, which humans are technically robots, but I just don't like the language. And It tells you how to deal with dogs and everything, and of course this can teach you how to not be afraid of dogs. This is a young man, he has kids, he's responsible, he's a guardian, but he's afraid of dogs when they're not on the leash. Where did he get this from? From being isolated in a world that knows nothing about the natural world, a world that is cut off. And not only that, I have to make a key point here. My teacher from a cheder, who recently got in touch with me, he started watching my channel, he was impressed, and he said, when you were in cheder, we couldn't teach you Judaics. So it's not that we couldn't teach you Chachmas U'Masaylim, we couldn't teach you basic Divrei Yisrael, basic philosophy from the Rambam and the Saadia Gaon and the Even Ezra. We couldn't teach you about the Even Ezra. We couldn't teach you about Mekubalim that didn't keep halacha. We couldn't teach you about that. It would be hard for the system. What system? There is no system. You grow up and you go where you want. So this is just a boogeyman in your head. It's like drowning in a sea of black, which this guy wrote, Guy Efron. He wrote a book about Yidden and science, and then the next book he wrote, Secular versus Ultra-Orthodox, and the struggle for Jewish identity in Israel. So he writes about drowning in a sea of black. Of course, as a Chabad, you don't have to worry about the Haredi laws that they pass in terms of not having cell phones, smartphones, iPhones, Galaxies. They call it all iPhone because they don't know the difference. You don't have to worry about it, but back in the day, halacha used to be the civil body of law. You had to follow halacha before there was the citizen, the modern citizen who chooses. Today, most musmachim of the Lakewood and the Litvish yeshivas, who are rabbis and shuls in America, Canada, and Israel, they give you halachic advice based on your character, based on how much you're going to buy it. So it can't be a real science. It can't be divine. It can't be anything but a waste of your time and a form of a spiritual life, a form of a way of being spirituality. But again, you're asking based on what you're expecting. So it's all nonsense. Halacha is, everyone has their own flavor of halacha. The Reform completely reject it. The conservative pick and choose. The Orthodox pretend to keep all of it, but that's impossible. We know clearly that some of the halachas are not just nonsense, but also cruel. Yeah, here's a nice addition to the library. It's a Shadenstein Gemara Brachas. It's a Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmim, and they were arguing with the Bavli which one is going to be the halacha. Who knows how to learn better? Those were all secular arguments. Those are arguments for power. What is Chachmas Chitzenius again? Philosophy is the Rambam studied Averroes, which was a free thinker, which said that God, Azav Avayas Ha'aretz. If there was a God here and he walked in the Garden of Eden, he ain't here anymore. He's not doing any more miracles. And every theologian's going to try to explain why God doesn't do any more miracles. We'll bring out the popcorn and we'll wait. So, what else? The Arizal studied a lot of Jewish texts, but he got from the Zohar and he got from Eastern stuff about the charts, the flow charts. Mekubalim say, why are Yidden mipnei ma Yisrael tzayakim veinam nenin? Why are Yidden calling out? Tzayakim is tefillah, right? Tzaka, you're asking for help. Why are they calling out and they're not answered? And the answer is because they don't have the right kavanah. It's almost like saying that this Eibishter only answers sophisticated tefillas. Complete nonsense. And the answer to that was, Ani mispal d'da'azeh tinoik. I am praying like a child calling to the Father. This is weiter nonsense. Arizal's sources were maybe mystical, religious, not Yiddish, Chachmas U'Masaylim, absolutely. Whether he knew that or not, because he was studying the Zohar, and the Zohar was based on philosophy, and the Rambam based it on Averroes, which was an Arab philosopher. So, if you feel like you can't study proper philosophy, start with Moed Nevuchim. Start with Moed Nevuchim and start with the history of the Even Ezra, Reb Levi ben Gershom, the Ramban, and so on and so forth. And go with Ralbag, which is Levi ben Gershom, Gersonides, Go with the Jewish ones, but don't be limited. I remember one guy tried to tell me not to read Rabbi Elkan. I said to him, I read everything. You're talking to the wrong guy. He thought I'm such a Yiddish Shemayim because I look very edel. So, back to that, it's all secular. The only thing that's not secular is the Urim V'Tumim, and that's also nonsense. You stick a paper in, it's like throwing a dice and deciding that God's speaking through the dice the way it falls out. Urim V'Tumim didn't have any magic. It was just a box with papers, or there was abracadabra. It means maybe lights and truth or something, but the Urim V'Tumim was what the Kohanim used. It was a Goysha thing. It was borrowed from Ammon and Moav. Yisrael Kohen Midian probably taught them how to do this bullshit from the other Kohanim of Midian, where two people come to you and they want a divine answer. They want to know who's lying. And you use the Urim V'Tumim to answer questions. Another scam up the sleeve of the priestly class of human history. And next we'll be doing about Taras Mishpacha, what is Dam Nida, Tare, Mikvah, all the laws following that, checking the wife's underwear. Some younger man told me, he asked me to do this. He said it's very bothersome for him, but he does not know that this is just a borrowed custom. My grandmother believed in it and risked her life to go to mikveh in Russia. She walked down a train track in the freezing snow, cold weather, because she believed in it. Nothing more. It's a belief, it's a mistake, and it's easy to bury the past if you have courage and strength and you're ready for the truth. Zai Gesund, thank you for watching Sheni V'Chamish.